I don't even know why I'm reading this line. The intro's not needed. Just show somebody the shape of the sheet metal and the badge on the fender, and they know what it is. Let's drive the 2011 Ford Mustang GT with the 5-liter and check the tech. A Ford 302 V8 has been around since God was a teenager. When metric stuff became fashionable in the 80s, they rebadged it 5-liter, but same thing. And everyone knows this engine. Except you don't. This is the all-new 5-liter. It's a clean sheet motor, all aluminum, dual overhead cam, fancy variable valve timing, but we'll see if it still has the stuff of legends after we go inside the car. Now, all Mustangs have the same familiar, very retro dash and instrument panel these days. This is really echoing the original Mustang, the dual eyebrow with the dip down and the way this kind of flares out and the 2-pod gauges and all of that. Ford's done a good job of bringing this into a modern age. Really good materials almost everywhere, except the door panels are really cheap plastic. And don't reach into this little map pocket on the door, you're going to lacerate your hand. It's got nasty, sharp edges on it. So they get like an A for the middle of the car and kind of a C- for the sides. Okay, I'm going to cut against the grain right off the bat on the tech, loving the fact that we don't have the high-tech package. This is a really great, simple, basic technology head unit. I'd really consider this if I were you. Otherwise, you could get the LCD color screen with the navigation maps, but you know what? These days, an Android phone, for example, does navigation with integrated Google and connectivity better than most cars. So I loved this guy. Lots of simple direct buttons, obviously no touch screen. A simple dot matrix display. I like this though. They use 2 different colors of dot matrices, blue and white. It's amazing what a difference in clarity at a glance that makes. The things that are brought up here include Bluetooth hands-free and Bluetooth audio streaming. Your media sources are AM, FM. You've also got Sirius satellite radio, 6 months included there, by the way. A single optical disc slot right here for CDs, no DVD playback. Aux is where things get interesting. I've got my USB port and my aux jack down here, which can be an iPod, a Zune, or in this case, I've got a thumb drive in there. I've also got my Bluetooth streaming. I mentioned that a minute ago. That comes up here. And all of this can be driven via voice command because it's the sync system, and they've been doing this for a long time.
USB, please say a command.
Play artist Charlie Hayden.
Playing artist Charlie Hayden.
Play artist Colby Calais.
Playing artist Colby Calais.
Now that's pretty impressive. It doesn't pronounce the name right. It can't even figure out her last name, but it figured out what I meant. That's not bad. And the Bluetooth hands-free technology, as well as the voice commands, as well as the media streaming, all of that nicely controlled through steering wheel controls here for both sync voice, your volume, your various music settings, and your presets for all your different radio channels. By the way, we've got a Shaker 500 audio system in this car. It's a 500-watt system with 8 speakers. You can bump that up to a Shaker 1000, which just ramps up the power to 1,000 watts. But I wasn't really impressed with the fidelity as much as the brawniness. If you get this car model year 2012 or forward, it'll have My Ford Touch, which by then should be rather substantially revised. And it needs it. If you've seen my previous videos about that system, it's too complicated, too fussy, too fiddly. But when this car finally gets it, it should be the next version of it. The electronics package would also include HD radio on here, as well as satellite and broadcast radio. And it gives you dual zone automatic temperature control. The Mustang doesn't come with that base. You basically got this fan knob and the old temperature, hot to cold knob. This is kind of a throwback to the old days. If you like fiddling with your car, you're going to love the fact this vehicle has My Color. That's Ford's ability to hit the setup button over here and choose all kinds of strange color combinations if you wish. If you like that kind of thing, sort of a watercolors of the electronic era, this is the car for you. This car is a little bit of a gunslit of a thing to drive. That's why I'd recommend you consider the glass roof. And I don't mean a moonroof. It's a glass roof. Now, one of the delights on a Mustang GT is that the base car comes with a Getrag 6-speed manual. Very nice, tight, short throws. And you got this big old machined aluminum billiard ball for your shifter. It's all throwback stuff. For about $1,000 more, you can get a 6-speed automatic, which, by the way, Ford says delivered the best quarter-mile times in their testing. So it's no slouch. Now the Rainmaker lives up on this end of the car, this all-new 5-liter, all-aluminum, dual overhead cam V8. A lot of goodness in here. This vehicle's not the old 5.0 with the iron block and aluminum heads, and it's not the later 4.6, it's the all-new 3.02. What this guy puts out is 412 horsepower, 390 foot-pounds of torque. That's on premium gas, by the way, a little less for regular. It gets this 3,600-pound car to 60 in 4.8 seconds while delivering 1726 stated MPG. If you get the automatic, it changes to 1825, but about the same thing. And the power always goes out through rear-wheel drive only. It's a Mustang after all, and always through a standard limited slip differential through a choice of, I think, 2 different rear-end combos. 200 pounds less than a similar Camaro, 400 pounds less than a similar Challenger. Those are significant numbers. But let's see how it is on the real-world road. This guy's real friendly in an aggressive, brawny way. First of all, I don't know if you can hear that exhaust note back there. Let me try this. Yeah, that's nice. Sounds like a million angry little cobblers hammering hobnail boots. A nice shiftable gearbox, though laterally the gears are really close together. They've sliced the onion very thinly here. Nice linear clutch. I enjoy driving this stick, although, you know, again, day to day, that might turn you off. This is a Mustang, so of course, it's got a little bit of a crudeness to it. It almost feels like this car has, you know, maybe 20% too much power for what the suspension can handle. It's not hard over unfair pavement to sort of get the rear end chirping and hopping and nibbling and trying to get itself back on the ground again. But that's just part of the good, clean fun. Here's what's not part of the fun. When I babied it, I got 16.7. When we drove it a little more for what it's worth, we got like 14.6. This car is nowhere near what the APA rates at least not in our experience. There's no suspension mod on this car, there's no modes, it's not one of those little German cars, it's just a real car, no little fiddly buttons to make the computer do things. I kind of appreciate that. A high-revving big V8 remains one of the great perverse pleasures in all of driving. This car's $7,000 red line is more than just paint on the tack face. It's smooth, forceful, and never runs into weird lumps. Feels good all the way to the top. Okay, let's price our 2011 Mustang GT. Now, the first thing I want you to bear in mind is we have a GT Premium. That's a little more expensive than a standard GT, but without getting the premium trim level, you're locked out of a number of options. The powertrains are the same, but the toys will change. So, the Premium is $34,000 base. Couple grand more than a base GT. Then you can option up for $2,000 that glass roof. I think I'd consider that. You can't even get that though on the base GT, for example. If you want the electronics package with the color LCD, that's like $2,400 more, and again, you can't get that on the base GT. We also have the Brembo package. That's the Brembo calipers, bigger rotors, these pretty hot 19s all the way around, and sport tuning of the suspension and the traction control. That's $1,700 more.